Hello, everyone. My name is Jen Swanson, and I'm one of the ministers here at Inlet United Church in lovely Port Moody. I want to thank you for being here for this first of our four-part wellness speaker series sponsored by Inlet United Church. We originally had this series booked to be in person, but then COVID happened, and so here we are, and we are very glad that you are here with us. Now, before I introduce this week's guest expert, I would like to acknowledge that this event is being brought to you from the traditional and unceded territory of the Coast Salish people, including the Coquitlam, Musqueam, Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, Kwantlen, and Katzie First Nations. And it is with gratitude that we recognize their care and stewardship of this land down throughout the generations. Now, today's guest is Regina Kaiser, founder and owner of the Veracis Meditation Centre. Regina is a certified meditation teacher, an intuitive, a healer, an aromatherapist, a yoga instructor, a speaker, and she is a published author and creative muse. She is so passionate about using meditation to heal that she created an entire program and wellness center where others could learn how to create and live a life of inner peace. And Regina is talking to us today about transforming anxiety mindfully. So please welcome Regina.
Thank you, everybody. It's definitely an honor to be asked to speak and to see some familiar faces. And I will also acknowledge the land upon which we are, to those who have walked before us, who walk with us, and have yet to come. So thank you for that wonderful introduction. And I'm here to speak about transforming anxiety mindfully. And I'm going to see if I can just play a little bit here. Is that okay? Am I still on speaker view for you?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Because I was staring at myself there for a minute. All right. And that's a very odd feeling when you're watching yourself talk to yourself and you can't connect with your audience, which is very important to me. So I chose to speak about anxiety because it's one of the things that so many of us find debilitating, that catches us off guard and rocks our world. As I mean, I have many titles, but when I whittle them all away, I am what I like to refer to as a peaceful spirit in a human body, just like everyone else. And each of us, have our own unique ways of connecting to ourselves through the heart, to get through difficult times, to connect with each other, to our faith. However that is, it is what we are grounded in and gives us our strength. And it doesn't really surprise me, and yet it does surprise me that even with all of that, we can still feel ourselves sometimes floating, or like our world is falling apart, that somehow we don't have anything to stand on or to guide us through. And just when we think we can't really find that, or are still looking for something, that right person shows up, or you get a call, or you get something that helps you feel that connection again, that you're able to get through the difficult times in life. So I'm not a stranger to anxiety. I didn't know I had anxiety when I was younger. I discovered it in the mid 90s, when I found myself in a therapist's chair. And the therapist at the time, I went to see her because I had found that I had lost myself. I was losing myself. I didn't like the way I felt. I didn't like how I was acting around my children and my husband and my family. I just didn't feel like myself. And this had all come about as a result of a series of losses. But that was just the gateway to opening up the window to begin to work with all the fears and uncertainties inside. And that is the journey inwards that we speak of, that we can transform when we observe within ourselves that there is a power within us that we can't explain, a desire to be free of the pain and the suffering that comes to us through our thoughts and our life experiences. And when we don't heal them, they build up and they cause us to feel the stressors and the anxieties in life. So anxiety, and I don't know if you know this, but it's 1 in 4 Canadians are diagnosed with anxiety. So now 25% of us, and probably with COVID, I'm going to crank it up. It's probably at 50% right now. So the anxiety is the direct cause of thinking, overthinking, and catastrophizing something, an event, or some events in our lives. I am overthinking this, I'm wanting to change it, it's not going away, and our mind takes over. And all of that energy ends up sitting in our heart, and it starts to beat, it gets frantic, and it gets uncomfortable. And to understand the difference, anxiety now is brought on by our excessive thoughts. Our thoughts came from the circumstances in our life. This happened, and you are possibly reacting, moving into action mode to take care of the situation. So the external world can create the stresses that cause us to feel anxious. So stress is caused by external circumstances, the demands that are outside of ourselves. And anxiety then is the result of those stressors caused by thinking and worrying and trying to change those external circumstances and not always knowing or feeling that we can do enough. Does that sound familiar to any of you? Okay, so it helps, I find, to understand that the stressors in my life are right now would be COVID, going shopping, when do I wear a mask, what do I do? Or if there's a life circumstance, an illness in the family or threat to the well-being, then we go into mental overdrive, researching, Googling, looking things up. Do you see how that's working? It's causing more anxiety. So it's really, really challenging in the midst of all of that to find the peaceful place inside that trusts. So the absence of trust is what exasperates our anxieties and moves us into thinking. Now, I also know from personal experience that most of us have mastered thinking. We can process thoughts like there's no tomorrow. We can come up with so many different possible outcomes. And here's the positive side of that. That capacity to think that way helps you prepare for your future. So it isn't always negative. My ability to think helps me prepare for a future. The tipping point is when you're fixated or obsessed with it. Now we're back to what am I trying to change and control outside of myself that is beyond me. And this sense of wanting to be able to do something, to be of service, to take care of, can cause us anxiety because we feel so helpless. So anxiety is a natural response to the uncertainties in life brought on by the stresses and experiences. I was blessed enough to be at an author, a speaker. I've forgotten his name. I really like to acknowledge the individual. I've gone blank. Maybe it'll come back to me. But he's a doctor, and this was about 5 years ago, and he was so excited to share that they now have found that DNA, actually, anxiety found in the DNA of individuals. So now we go, well, what does DNA have to do with thinking? So now we have the genetic component of anxiety. And I was drawn to this because it helped me understand how come these 4, 5, 6-year-old children are experiencing anxiety. And what's going on? Why have I got anxiety? When I look at my life, it didn't feel I had everything I needed other than a few experiences that exasperated it. But I was able to link it to my parents' life. My mother was a young child, she was under 10, living in Germany during World War II. She was raised in terror and anxiety, constant fear. And for her, she didn't even know she had it. It just became who she is. So it helped me understand that within us then are the memories. So I inherited some of that. I believe I inherited that because it is within me to take that information and transform it, not just for me, but for her and for all of the family, not taking over responsibility, but recognizing that, wow, my mother has not had a chance to have this transformed in her life. Her grandmother never did, nor her great grandmother. Now, somehow, you can either feel in this moment, man, how did I get stuck with all their stuff? Or, wow, this is it. I can change this. I can transform this because I'm born into an era where there is more space, more availability to heal. This is where I, Regina, have landed. And so it became very important to me to begin to understand this word anxiety and all the different forms of it, because panic attacks are extreme and they're very real physically. And then I also recognized that I seem to attract a lot of anxious people to me. Why am I always attracting this nervous person here or this person here? And then I realized, oh my goodness, they are mirroring parts of my life. Nobody wants to be the anxious person. And usually they don't even know that they are anxious. They only know that things aren't going quite right the way they want them to, and that maybe they don't feel very comfortable or happy. And so anxiety comes in so many different forms. That it's important to recognize that every one of us has some version of it, and every one of us can find a way to sort of unpack it or transform it. And that's really, at the end of the day, what we're looking for. This is what I wanted. I want to live without anxiety, or in the very least, have ways to manage it, particularly when the difficult things arise, like the rug gets pulled out from underneath me. And for those of you who have had that experience, and I know you have, because all of us will have had that experience in some form in our lives. When you look at yourself today, you recognize, I'm here. I'm okay. It wasn't great. I still maybe have some things I'm holding on to, but I am here. And something beautiful is born of our experiences. We got to find that space in our heart and our mind, calm the thoughts, to begin to understand all the levels of awareness that are being presented to us. So anxiety can be very positive, and it requires compassion and empathy. Empathy for yourself when you're feeling it, and understanding and empathy to other individuals. One of the bigger causes or other causes of anxiety in some of the people around me that I noticed was this desire to please. Now, most of us, I'm at an age where certainly I grew up in a different environment than children born 10 years ago. But certainly it doesn't even matter what year you were born in. There's an inherent desire to want to please your parents, and to want to be loved and to want to belong. And that is in each of us. But when that gets too much giving away to other people, wanting to please them, it's like you're setting yourself up to be hurt and never feeling quite like you're enough, which causes more of the feeling of anxiety because we haven't really touched on it. So we start to recognize that, you know what, I love doing kind, generous things for the people around me. It fills my heart with love and joy and passion. I heard someone's making masks, and I used to be a seamstress, and I can relate to this passion of the sewing and the putting it together and knowing it's going to someone. The difference here is, am I feeling I'm making it from a place of love and caring, or am I feeling that I'm trying to please other people by making it? And maybe there is a little bit of both. And that's simply how we begin. We recognize and we go, okay, yes, I am looking for that. I am going to speak kindly to myself. Because the thing around anxiety as well is the very last thing you need to hear is that something is wrong with you, or that you need to be shamed for the feelings that you have. Ultimately, we all want to feel calm and peaceful and connected and caring. I'm watching all of you observing, like when I teach my meditation classes, and the students are sitting and they're sometimes I call them their owl eyes, trying to take in the information. And which is why I'm always grateful now when we record it, because if you missed something because your mind wandered because you related to something I said, then you kind of go, oh, I bet I missed what she said here and it meant something to me and I'm not sure what. We are all here healing something. Healing to me means wholeness. I am creating wholeness from the inside. I have made decisions in life that have caused me suffering. I have made decisions that I see have caused others suffering. So we recognize this, but we don't start to feel bad about it or get anxious about having been bad or done something wrong. I have learned, and I share with others, to recognize that these mistakes that we have made are actually lessons. And the lessons become messages that help me heal, help me understand. And then when the peacefulness arrives, then I can open myself up more to connecting with others. So another thing that causes us anxiety is childhood memories. I mentioned my mother sharing like a few of her stories, which she really didn't talk about when we were younger. It was only when she was older that she shared a few things, and she has advanced dementia right now, which I think is God's way of blessing her to not have to relive some of those older memories. But that's not for me to decide either way. But when the early stages of her dementia, she began to have flashback memories that were terrorizing to her. So I speak of childhood memories, and hers are, of course, quite extreme. But we think about our own memories where maybe a parent wasn't there for us when we needed them, or just think of something that maybe caused you to feel anxious. And those old memories, if we haven't found comfort in them, have not had a witness to those. And that can be when we share over coffee or tea or in a sharing circle, and we suddenly have the opportunity to say, this is what's happening in my life. I am terrified. I'm terrified that someone's going to die, or I'm scared that they won't be well, or that I've done something. These are very real components. So the old childhood memories arise in our adult life, and they may cause us great discomfort, but can be transformed through interaction. Am I making sense to you guys? Sometimes just nodding helps. Okay. This is what's so different, because if you're in an audience where I can actually feel your physical presence, and I'm a very physical person at the best of times, I very much miss that. But I'm very happy that I have this here as well. So we've kind of covered a few of the things that can cause us to feel anxious or uncertain. There are 3 mistakes that people make when dealing with anxiety. 3. There's probably more, but 3 are pretty profound. That first mistake is that they blame. So when I was in my anxious moments, I'm blaming this person, this event, this circumstance. So the first mistake is to blame, which is disempowering to the soul. But it is also a very common step to do that as we make sense of things. Okay. The second mistake that we make is we isolate ourselves. We isolate ourselves from other people and from life. And this one, isolating, is probably the most damaging. Because when you're isolated, you are alone with those blaming thoughts. You are withering slowly because you're not connected in the loving, natural way you were intended to be. Isolating is not the same as solitude. There are times where something is happening and it's difficult and you can't make sense of it and it's causing you stress or anxiety. There is times where it's very important to step back, to retreat into quietude, to reflect, to start to make sense of things, to let the mind soften and settle down and the heart open. That's solitude. That's okay. Isolating is, I'm not leaving my house. I'm not going there. I don't like the way I feel around them. They did this to me. And haven't we all thought that or said that? Come on, this is the truth. That's so beautiful. All of us have done it, and we might actually do it again. So this is about accepting that, yes, this is something that will happen in my life, but now I'm learning how to manage it differently. The third thing is when we don't believe that there is anything that will help us get through this. We don't trust. So believing is so important. Somebody has to care. I want to trust there is something wholesome, something huge in this experience, not just for me, but for everyone. So if that's gone, then you find yourself back in isolated and blame, tucked away, alone, and then you get depressed. Now, again, we've all had that. It's part of our human journey, and you bounce back and you might do it again. But I'm telling you all of the things that are the mistakes, or I'll call them the choices people make, but mistakes just seems to grab people. I don't know why, but we like to hear about our mistakes. So are we good with that? Can you relate to those? Those make sense. Who here has isolated themselves? Totally. Everybody. Okay, this is about being truthful with yourself and seeing that everybody is really making the same choices. So when we have a short amount of time to try to explore anxiety, that can actually create more anxiety. The 3 simple steps to break the cycle of anxiety, right? So anxiety has a cycle. We can almost feel it coming up. The very first thing to do is to acknowledge that that is what you're experiencing. This, I am feeling anxious. This is empowering. To be able to say to your partner or to somebody with something going on, I am feeling anxious and scared, is grounding and it's truthful. You're not asking someone to change you or fix you, is you are taking the steps towards that transformation. And I always say, speak kindly to yourself. Speak kindly to yourself like you would to a child. We're so hard on ourselves. So I've acknowledged what I am experiencing. And the second thing is to use a method or a technique to support. So because anxiety is physical, we often want to invite in breathing. When we get anxious, we do this. And our shoulders get really high. We don't know they're really high, but we hold things in so tight. And what the body needs is space and the breath. So there's deep breathing that you can do. I'm going to invite you into a guided meditation shortly just to give you a sense of what that is if you're open to that. But breathing a mantra, a word, words like I am loved, trust. These are very powerful words when we quietly repeat them in our mind. Trust. Okay, meditating helps, but sometimes when you're in the middle of anxiety, it's really hard to meditate because you're wound up. So you need to breathe and calm down the body first of all. And I will say it again. Speak kindly to yourself. To yourself. And the third thing is to reconnect with others and life. And that is pretty hard to do when you're feeling all tight and anxious and like no one gets you or understands. But it's so important to start slowly. And when someone calls or you call them, be kind. Don't expect too much of yourself. Stay in charge. So we'll use an example. If you're anxious about going out to, I'm going to say grocery shopping, because the last time you were there, you managed to not follow the arrows down the aisles because it's so easy to do, because somebody was there that wasn't masked and didn't seem to care and frightened you, made you very uncomfortable. And so this is very real, and your fear factor comes up because anxiety is a form of fear. And in this case, you move into this, I have to do something. What am I going to do? And I'm pretty sure every one of you became angry. And I like that. I like that anger, the emotion of anger comes up. Because anger is also not a bad thing. It's how you use it. Your anger will allow you to say, stop, step back, I need space. So now we're back to acknowledging what you're experiencing and saying something. So anxiety is learned or inherited. It can be transformed. It is done one breath at a time, kindly. It is done in interaction with others through compassion and caring. And all the different forms of anxiety always point to one thing for me, is to reinstate trust in my heart and my mind to soften. I want my mind to be calm. I want to know that I can cry, that I won't judge myself when I cry. And I really want to know that there will be something to land on, that I'm not just going to fall all on my own. And when we recognize that those are what the fears are inside us, we also remember that there is almost always somebody there when we let them in. We have to let them in. And we always land on something, and we always get up. Because that's how you got to where you are today, in all the different forms. When I first started speaking, never mind that, before speaking, anytime I was in a group circle, and people would start to share, I'm sure you've done that, where you sit in a group and people introduce themselves and they say a little bit about who they are. My poor heart, it would bounce clear across the room, and the sweating, and I couldn't even hear what anyone was saying. You'd go around and say, hi, my name is so-and-so, and da-da-da. Psh, nothing, because I was so tight with fear and anxiety. So it still happens a little bit today. We get so nervous. We want to say the right thing. We just really want to be our best in front of everyone else. But it brings me back to that trying to please other people. You're beautiful and whole the way you are. You are going to say fabulous things, and you are going to say things that didn't come out the way you wanted them to. Because we all do that. And so if we start to accept that, and we start to transform that, and we recognize that, we will stop blaming, and we will start embracing and loving from the heart. So before I move into questions, because I can see you are processing the information. Information comes to us in different forms. We hear it, and then we have memories. We relate to it, and everything begins to transform in this moment. I'm wondering if I guess I'll ask, if you guys are open to receiving a short guided meditation, or if there's enough people who don't want to do that, then we can maybe do that at the end of the session. Hands up if you're open to a short guided meditation. Well, look at that. Pretty much everybody. That tells me that, have you been meditating? Have you done meditations? Little bits here and there. All right. A little bit. And the thing with meditation is, when I first started meditating, it was also on the direction of my very spiritual, down-to-earth, indigenous bred therapist, who said to me, have you ever thought about sitting still and meditating? And I thought she was quite crazy. But everything at that point in my life that I heard was rejected. Everything before it had a chance to be processed. That experience has been a gift of a lifetime for me as a teacher. Because when we consider that, what we hear, it is processed through our filters. We like it, we don't like it, we agree, we disagree. Or, no. I am now able to hear what someone's saying. I might still disagree or have a different perspective, but it doesn't make the other person wrong. And it doesn't make me right. It's just a different perspective. So anxiety clouds and keeps us from hearing and seeing. So we can transform that through meditating. And anyway, so I went and I tried meditating, and I realized I have a very active mind. I have a lot of thoughts, which were also contributing to the anxiety. And I studied with several meditation teachers and arrived at a place that made sense for me in my Western body. And it's really what I built everything on in the program, in everything that I do. It's that all healing is self-healing, and that when we connect with ourselves inner on the inside as spirit first, we are nurturing ourselves on a soul level, and we grow lighter and brighter. And so I will invite you into a meditation. How long do you guys normally meditate? I usually do 30 minutes, but I won't do that with you. I'll kind of gauge you. Otherwise, you're going to fall asleep. And it's okay because you're at home. No one's going to say anything. It's awesome. Okay.
Can you do a beginner one?
I always do a beginner one when I speak. A beginner one. Yeah, no, it's not very comfortable. Then you get anxious thinking I'm going to give you a really advanced meditation. There is no right or wrong way to meditate. When I guide someone into meditation, I'm going to guide you into your body. Probably that is the biggest difference, that some meditations that I do are more relaxing and visualizing, that maybe take you away. So though that type of meditation takes us away from where we are, and I want you to be more present with where you are, and then clear out what's no longer serving you. Because if you leave, you still got to come back to the house with all the stuff in it. So even if you left the windows open, there's still going to be stuff. So we're going to come back. We're going to just do a lovely, gentle, calming meditation to help you feel a connection to the trusting soul that you are. Okay, so close your eyes, sit back comfortably in the chair. This is important to make sure nobody comes bouncing into your sacred space right now. And close your eyes and take a deep cleansing breath. Breathe in through the nose and out through gently parted lips. Breathe in through the nose and out through gently parted lips. A long, deep breath in and out. Begin to notice the stillness as the breath moves in through the nose and out through gently parted lips. On this next breath, direct it all the way to the base of your spine and pause there. And then give yourself a long, slow exhale. Breathe in through the nose. A long, slow inhale to the base of your spine. Pause there. And then direct that breath up the spine and out through gently parted lips. Deep, long breath. And an even longer, slower exhale. And then take a breath in to the chest. And then a slow exhale out. Breathing into the heart center and then out. And then breathe in to the light in the center of your head. Breathe into the light in the center of your head. Like a candle or an ocean of stillness. Keep breathing and guide yourself into the stillness. Be aware of the thoughts and let them fade away into the distance as you are guiding yourself as you breathe to the center of your being. It is still here. There is no judgment. There is the awareness of breath. And when you get as close as you can to that presence of light, surrender to it. Surrender. And begin to quietly repeat in your mind the words, I am a peaceful spirit in a human body. I am a peaceful spirit in a human body. I am. We are a peaceful spirit having individual human experiences. Breathe deeply. If these words don't resonate with you, then perhaps there's another word that speaks more to you. It could be trust or love. It is important to have a word, a mantra that speaks to you. Trust is a very powerful mantra. Breathe it in and out. I trust. I trust. Feel the surrender of trust. On the next breath, let it flow to the base of your spine again and pause. And then a long, slow exhale. Begin to recognize that you are grounded in your body. Grounding can be experienced from the base of the spine or through the feet. So you may want to push your feet into the earth as if you're about to stand up and begin to feel the strength, the power of the earth. I am grounded in trust. I am grounded in trust. I release for peace. I release for peace. So notice that one worry, that one stressor in your life, and take a breath as you release down your grounding for peace. I release for peace. Place your left palm over the center of your chest and cover it with your right hand. Breathe deeply into the palms of your hands and exhale. Hold your heart, your soul, in the same way you would hold a child or bring comfort to a child. Breathe deeply into your heart center. Each breath expanding and bringing in space and love. You are taking the steps to manage your anxiety. The breath into the heart. I trust. Continue breathing in your natural form and start to notice how your body and mind are responding. How are they responding to this act of kindness to you? Allow the body to become calm. Begin to wash golden light through the crown of your head, through the brain, through the eyes, through the face, through the neck and the throat, into the shoulders and the arms, down the back, into the vertebrae and the spine, into the abdomen, into the hips and the legs, all the way to the tips of your toes. Now breathe in deeply. Let every cell in your body feel replenished and calm. Bring it back to your mantra. I trust. I trust. It is safe for me to release for peace. I am safe. I am safe. I am loved. I am loved. We are honoring self first in a selfless way in order to be of service to others. I am safe. I am loved. I am. From this place of stillness, kindness, and calm, On the peripheral of you, become aware of your angst. That one worry right now could be for a loved one, or it could be for you. Just let yourself notice and be grateful for your experience as you open your heart to release for peace and invite in trust. Let the heart open, the mind be calm. I trust as I surrender and release for peace. There is one more breathing technique that is very helpful. It is called an ocean breath. I will guide you through an ocean breath. Breathe in to the count of 3, 2, 1. Hold that breath. 4, 3, 2, 1. And release 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathing in 3, 2, 1. Holding 4, 3, 2, 1. And releasing 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And one more time. 3, 2, 1. Hold it. 4, 3, 2, 1. Release 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now take a breath with sound, quietly or loudly. I am safe and I am loved. I am safe and I am loved. Now bring your awareness to that one person that you are concerned about. Doesn't matter why. You are just aware from your perspective. Notice them. And from the core of your heart, without giving away yourself, but rather acknowledging from a place of love and trust, extend to them the energy of well-being. May you be loved. May you be loved. May you be well. Keep breathing. May you be well. Now take a breath and bring it back to you, because you are feeling and thinking something. What can you surrender and let go of? Is it fear? Anger? Release for peace. And take another really deep breath in and out. And bring your awareness back to the light in the center of your being, the presence of you. I am a peaceful spirit, centered and grounded in a loving body. I am safe. I am loved. Set the intention to carry this feeling moving forward into life, remembering to breathe, to open your heart, to allow the spirit in me honors and thanks the spirit in you. May you be filled and surrounded with light, laughter, and love. Thank you for sharing this guided meditation with me. When you feel ready at a pace that feels comfortable to you, slowly open your eyes and adjust to the light in the room. Take a deep breath and maybe notice the first color or the first feeling that you have. But do invite in the breath, acknowledging yourself, noticing how you feel. And it's okay if you don't feel as good as you felt before you started meditating. That happens. And keep breathing and releasing. That's energy coming up that wants to just be filtered out. The letting go process asks us to be truthful with ourselves. And this is done in little tiny steps every day and can become a joyful part of our experience. Anxiety is the result of overthinking, of fear, and then therefore can be transformed when we quiet our thoughts and we focus on the joyful things and what we can do. And we then connect with each other. So at this point, I would love to hear from anybody, their experience, their questions, anything you would like to ask for me, maybe that has nothing to do with the meditation, but maybe has something to do with that you want clarity on. I would be very happy to answer that. So I'll give it back to you, Jennifer, if you want.
Thank you, Regina. If anyone has a question or anything they would like to say, just unmute yourself first.
Jennifer, did we want to acknowledge that we are recording, that if we wanted to stop the recording and start again, perhaps?
Yeah, is there anyone that would, I think when we record in this particular view, the only person we're going to see is Regina.
Correct.
But if you would prefer that I don't record your question, just let me know and I can stop and start, or I can edit it out before I post it afterwards.
And I do want to, I would like to just say that in my experience, when people share, while that is sometimes a really hard thing to do, some people find it really easy. Some of us are hesitant to ask the questions. It is such a compassionate witnessing component of our journey that so many times another person asks the question that we had inside us and didn't even know we had. And or they ask the question that we just maybe aren't ready to ask out loud. So I like to encourage asking or even sharing the experiences of maybe how you overcame anxiety in your life up till now, or how you see yourself doing it differently moving forward, or how, or do I have any pointers on how do I deal with this particular kind of anxiety driven thing? I'm happy to support you with direction, with anything you would like.
The other thing too is you can type it into the chat and I can ask it without saying your name if you'd like to do that too.
How do you get to the chat?
At the bottom of the screen, there should be a little
I see.
box.
I see it. Thank you. I would like to ask, how do you deal with anxiety when you feel, like you say that there's stressors that affect the anxiety, but if you feel, if you've had a medical condition where you feel your body has let you down, and then any little change in your body you get anxious about because you think, it's like, say you had a heart condition, and then any little minor, change in your body, you feel like something's happening. How do you deal with that type of anxiety? In the same way, like meditation and calming yourself?
And it is, thank you for the question. When the body, we have a physical I'm going to call it a betrayal because that's how we perceive it.
No, that's how I feel.
I understand. I know for myself when I was moving through my menopausal years and my blood pressure went quite crazy. And I also now can relate to, I felt like my body had betrayed me. I'm meditating, I'm doing everything right. So that sense of betrayal is a very common thing to experience. But if we look at this as this is my thoughts again, talking to my body, opposed to let me listen to my body. My heart has a way of communicating with me, not just the physical heart, but my heart that knows me better than anyone else. So if I start to listen to what's underneath the fear, I will find profound trust. And when you start nurturing trust, that's the energy that starts to swell out and move out of the body. And we begin to invite in more trust. The body gets calmer and the healing becomes easier. But I know it's easier said than done because anxiety does this to us. We just pull in, it's like the isolated thing. So I would say invite in the breath and the mantras of trust and calm. Because worrying just gets your mind worked up and then all the body gets tight. But the heart needs space. It needs to be trusted. We need to trust that the doctors are there for us, that everybody's doing what they can. If we go in with fear, we're going to attract more fear.
So in your meditation, then your word that you focus on is trust.
Yes. And if you are working with your heart, if you have a heart condition, which many people do, it's not really surprising. It's all about us. Use your hands to comfort your heart. And I try to make it so that sometimes we don't give ourselves enough of what we are giving other people. We want to be there for them. We might reach out and comfort another soul when they're going through something difficult. That which you are also giving to another, give to yourself. Give yourself the same kindness you would to a dear friend who might just have received difficult news. Difficult news is difficult news. It leaves us speechless. We don't know what to say. We have our own feelings that arise. A sense of helplessness. But then if we stop and we breathe in and out, most often our presence alone is what is needed. Just someone to sit there with me. That's it. So hopefully a mantra and breathing. If you want the short Coles notes, breathe and mantras. And be prepared, because in the past, your mind took you down this path and it did this, this, and this. And I say, how did that work for you? So the next time you go into the doctors, go in with a smile on your face. The news is going to be what the news is going to be. The bill in the envelope is already the bill in the envelope. But before I opened it, I could have a panic attack without even seeing it. That is the mind.
Yeah, I actually, just recently thought I was having a heart attack, and actually it was a panic attack.
Okay. Yes. So now you take that information, Louise.
But that's embarrassing. It was totally embarrassing because I wasted so many people's time over a simple panic attack.
A panic attack is not simple. It is not a simple thing. And your body, when it has a panic attack, is called panic for a reason. And so, first of all, speak kindly to yourself. You are worthy of other people's time and support and love. This is about receiving, at this stage of life, everything that you've put out all those years. This is your turn to start trusting and letting them have that. And the embarrassing is a very, very human thing. Boy, we feel like we're inconveniencing someone, and really we're scared and confused.
Yeah, I worried my whole family.
Of course. How much love can there possibly be in your family? Nobody does that on purpose. This is a result of an event, an opportunity for each individual to heal. That is a gift from God. It's what you do with it. how you comfort your heart and go, wow, remember that? That was the worst experience so far in my life. Now I'm going to be kind to me. I'm going to be kind to the others around me. Does anybody else relate to that? That story is very common.
Mhm.
We don't want to be embarrassed by having an event. We have the shyest group here tonight. It's very common to not want to be that person that is a bother. Be the bother.
I started having panic attacks in 2015 after a really, really traumatic experience in a job that I had. Not a church job, a different job.
Oh, thank goodness.
But it was part of the job involved a lot of driving across bridges and through the tunnel. I started having panic attacks while driving over bridges or through tunnels. And I had no idea what was happening.
Yeah.
And it took me a very, very long time to be able to drive across the bridge or through a tunnel without having a panic attack come on. And it's much better now, unless I'm really, really tired or haven't slept for some reason. But the whole thing was, what's wrong with me?
Yeah.
And why is this happening? But they are terrifying. They are absolutely terrifying. And
they're debilitating. Yeah. They can be debilitating. I had my, I remember I was teaching about anxiety so many years ago. And I know enough about whatever it is I'm presenting or teaching, I am going to be revisiting in some way in my life. I just know that now. But this particular event, I was camping with my husband, and we had a camper, so we're safe inside and etc. But in the middle of the night, I woke up just with a start, and I had no idea where I was, who I was with, and it was pitch black out. And my heart just went crazy. And I remember that experience. It wasn't for very long, but it was long enough for me to have that relatable experience to what my students were talking about. It grips you. It takes over you. And so we try to be understanding and compassionate. And just like you're saying, Jennifer, you're driving and you're not even knowing that. I'd be curious, did you do anything, or did you just simply keep doing it and allow the shifts to start to happen?
Well, I meditate. I have a meditation practice too. But what I would do is I would phone, because the car phone was hands-free, I would phone somebody.
Right.
And distract myself by having a conversation or listening to somebody tell me about their life, and just concentrate on driving and breathing and listening to someone. And if I was talking, I knew I was okay. And a friend told me, if you can drink water, you're fine, you're breathing. So there were these little things that was like, okay, rational self. I'm safe, right. I'm fine as long as I'm driving properly. Yeah. The problem was that I live across a bridge from where I work, at the church. So, it, like I said, it took a couple of years before that was a comfortable thing to drive across the bridge. But it's fine now, but it's, unless I'm tired, and then it's not fine.
On your weekend. But it's this thing that somehow there's something wrong with you. By the way, I love that you manifested having to work across the other side. Okay, I love that. I know it sounds like I'm a bit twisted when I say that, but so great is our desire to heal something that we're going to call to us those circumstances to get through them. You have to remember that if I'm having fear about my heart, I'm going to keep calling it to me till I get it. So you unconsciously are forced to go over that bridge or get a plane, but you did it. And eventually it does subside, but it's still there quietly sometimes, as you say. It almost borders on post-trauma, the panic. Okay, so post-trauma attacks is really deeply seated. But to find the internal voices, the language that we hear inside, What concerns me is when, when someone chokes on something and they go to the bathroom, we all know that we should follow them now because they're going there because they're embarrassed, because they're making a scene in a restaurant and nobody wants to be that person. Remember that. It might be you one day. Let people help you. Let them in. Otherwise, you're isolating yourself. Let them in, invite them in. Be that person. Don't choke, by the way. I'm not asking you to do that. But be the person that allows others in and takes the thoughts out that say that you are a bother or an inconvenience or anything like that. Those are the thoughts that contribute to anxieties. And if you just start doing a little bit at a time, or pick one person as manageable, I find someone you trust, someone who doesn't judge you or tells you it's going to be okay. If they don't know, then they're just uncomfortable. They're telling you that because they're uncomfortable and don't know what to say to you. And we've done it and probably will do it again. But remember that it's often we don't know what to say. We're speechless. We want to offer comfort. We want to offer reassurance.
Anybody else have any questions or comments that they have for Regina? Oh, Regina does. You have to unmute yourself, though.
You have to unmute yourself, Regina.
I thought I'd unmuted. Sorry. Well, before I say anything, I just wanted to say I was born Regina because I was also born in Hanover, Germany, with a mother who also went through World War II. So as you're explaining, my mom was born 1934, so she had the same traumatic experiences. So I was thinking, oh my goodness, we're like parallel lives. My name is now anglicized to Regina. At least it's not Regina, which is the worst.
That doesn't fly, does it? No.
People have asked me, are you from Saskatchewan? No.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to say, well, first of all, that the meditation was probably the most moving and the most profound positive effect on me. And I've been through a few of those, and there's always a little bit of a skeptical side of me, or a little bit of resistance. I try to get into it, but my mind starts wandering and everything. And just the pace at which you went and your voice and the light, I was thinking, gee, I'll have to watch this again if you're recording and just have your voice take me through a few more of these, because I found it very, very profound actually to go through that. So I wanted to thank you for that. And the only other thing, and the reason I guess I'm here tonight on Zoom, is that in 2018, like you, I had a series of losses. That was my year of losses. My daughter had just moved out, and empty nest syndrome. Suddenly I wasn't a mom. I wasn't a teacher anymore. I was retired. Who was I? And then 2 weeks after that, my mom passed away. And she and I had always had a tumultuous life. And then my sisters stopped speaking to me because I was the executor of the estate and in charge of the money. So it was just, I felt, and so my question is about anxiety and the link to depression, because I know part of what, and this is what brought me to the church finally in 2018, October. And I knew Julie just slightly because I taught her son years before, and I just emailed and said, can I come? And I knew that I'd hit a kind of a rock bottom for me, because I wasn't not a churchgoer ever before in my life, and I just needed something more, something calling out to me, and some warm embrace, spiritual or physical, whatever it was. And it did help. And the next year I found that by volunteering a lot, I'm a Zoom leader now 4 days a week for different immigrant groups and things. But I forget about myself sometimes. So I'm interested in the relationship between grief and depression anxiety, and how those all, because I also got the driving phobia that year because it happens to you once, and my husband had to take 2 buses to pick me up because I couldn't drive the car. I had to pull over, and then you're afraid to go out anymore,
Right.
you know, because when is it going to come again, just come on you, and all those kinds of things. And I'm sure they're interlinked.
There is a connection. That's frozen with fear when you can't drive anymore. And you're describing similar to what Louise is saying, that I don't want to be a bother if it happens again. If it happens again, he'll take 3 buses and come and get you. Okay? It'll become a pattern until you get through it. We have to stay lighthearted with it. Of course, you don't want to be a bother. Depression and anxiety. So, depression has also different types. So depression through loss is a very natural experience. There's an emptiness, an ache. It's indescribable. Okay, it's a process that we must go through. I narrow it down to depression tells me my needs aren't being met. My needs aren't being met. Now we have to open that big can of worms. What needs? Do you know how many needs we have? So we bring it down to the very basic one, and that was a sense of belonging and being loved. And you found that. You found that through church. You found that through volunteering. You are now aware that you are giving more than you are receiving for you, and that will cause you to feel depressed because you're not balanced. Do you see? It's about balance. All of us have the same dynamics, just maybe not playing out in the same way. So when I start to feel the blues, like there's the blues because you just wake up and you're all funky and stuff like that, and then you bounce out of it. That's like a natural life thing. But then if it starts to become every day, your needs aren't met. What are my needs? I feel alone is a big one. I feel I don't have any friends. These all point to I don't feel loved or like I belong, and that would of course be a result also for not having your family around. But so when we go, what am I doing then to invite that back into my life? And you did. So this is about balancing. But I'm speaking about experiences every one of us has had or is having right now. And when we look at that and go, wait, right now in their lives, they might be experiencing that, and they don't want to be a bother and tell me that they're lonely. I was attending a women's retreat last year, and when everybody introduces themselves at the beginning, I was quite caught off guard by one woman who stood up right at the beginning, and she said, "Hello, everybody," and she's a very outgoing, like almost a comedian, the one that laughs things off and things. And she finished in tears because she says, "I'm in my 50s and I don't have any friends." Okay? So, your heart just went, oh, and then I went, wow, I could feel the ripple of that. And I've also experienced that when friends have left. I've lost my friends. Now we have loss. Then you feel alone. And then you think there's something wrong with you. Again, we're thinking. Too much thinking. Go out and say hello. Not everybody's going to like you. And you don't have to like everybody. But we do have to love one another. Because we were allowed to be different. I hope that answers that for you. If you're feeling depressed, identify what your need is. I need to have some me time. How am I going to have that? How often? Is it once a week of doing nothing? We call it sloth day. Or is this my sloth hour? Nope. Giving to yourself. Does anybody else have anything else? This is such a heavy topic, isn't it? This anxiety. Everyone can get through it. You have to believe. You have to believe in you. You have to take care of you.
Can you tell us about your center?
My center, I get to tell you, then guess what happened with me? So COVID hit, and I looked at everything. I had all these events planned myself, and I closed the center, and everybody went away. And I sat with my space. First of all, actually, honestly, I had an adult tantrum because I had to close the center. It was my week off. I was really annoyed because I really just wanted a week off. So I pouted for a couple of days. And then I was sitting in my meditation, in my quietude, and I started to reflect on what is coming yet. And so on by end of April, I closed the center May 15th. It'd been there for 16 years. And I decided that, I'll go through the process just quickly, because it's a meditation center where people could come to meditate. They could do drop-in classes. We had yoga. We had healing services. And it was just the whole vision. It was just thriving and starting to grow. But in the process of that time, I looked at it and I said, I will not be able to fit in physically more than 3 people for them to be safe. And I thought, well, okay, the universe will take care of all the other things. But then I happened to be out that morning shopping, and I had to stand in line up to get in. It was at Thrifty's. And I had put out the question. I said, the answer isn't clear to me yet. Please give me some clarity on this decision, because it's a big decision to close a center and cause people to have loss and everything as a result. And I thought, well, okay, when I was shopping and I got in my car and I stood in lineup, and somebody came up, hastily parked their car, and they stood behind me, but literally behind me, and they ignored the markers. So now this is in April. So this is at the very beginning. There's a lot of extra fear still around and uncertainty. So I turned and I asked her to please stand in the place where the line was. And so she became quite upset with me, and she called me one of them. Why don't I go home, basically go back to where you came from? And I thought, oh, okay. I was kind of grateful it wasn't the other person in front of me that was this. But this continued through this lineup, which was actually moving quite fast. But I realized that I didn't have it in me to protect my team from this kind of behavior. And I honestly didn't want the responsibility of that. And it just came together. And I said, the vision is I want to teach online. I was already looking at that, and I figured God gave me that. It said, get out now and create your Zoom classes and create some retreats. So we're doing more retreats. And I don't know what the future has, but I had to invite in trust. It was a very peaceful thing. So the center is no longer physically there, but we do Zoom classes. So people just come like you're doing, and they sit in my classrooms, in my little Zoom room down here. And I offer guided meditations. I also teach courses. I teach the power of awareness, which is about taking your space back and learning how to let go. It's a framework to learn on that. And I facilitate retreats. So we've got 2 next year that are scheduled coming up. So that's what I do. And you can check me out at veracis.ca.
It's I'll put it in the chat. It's VRACIS and it's .ca.
That's correct. Yeah, everything's on there. And then on there is also you can email me, because sometimes people think like that they don't want to bother me. Send me an email. Sometimes I'm sitting here all alone by myself because everybody thinks I'm so busy. And I'm not. I'm just sitting here with my husband, who sometimes drives me nuts. As couples do.
That's right. I put the veracis.ca in there, and then I also put a link. But I think most of the people on the call are from our church already. I had a link. I was asked to put a link to our donation page for the church. So I've put that in there as well, if anybody is interested in making a donation for this event.
I am always in awe over, there's a reason why we are all congregating. We may not know it yet, but you're going to take with some thoughts and feelings and discard the ones that don't make you feel good, by the way. And something is happening there. And like Regina was saying, like, I don't know who's going to connect with my story, but it did. And it connected in different ways to other people. But some things really connect with us, others don't. This is it. But don't underestimate the people that are connecting in your life.
And I love that I'm not the only one afraid of bridges. So thank you.
Okay, the 2 of you can do this. You're going to hold hands.
We'll go for a drive when we're allowed.
Well, that's priceless. All right. Does Does anybody have anything else about questions about how they're feeling right now?
We had one person who had to scoot away.
Mm-hmm.
So I just, if there's no other questions or comments, I want to say thank you so much for taking the time tonight to share your wisdom and your wonderful meditation with us. We are going to post this recording eventually when I get it up there onto our website at inletunited.ca. So if you want to listen to that wonderful meditation again, you can. And definitely check out the things that Regina is offering. We're back for 3 more of these sessions. Next week we have Dr. Christopher Jones, who is a psychologist locally in Port Moody and also I think in Vancouver somewhere. And he is coming to speak to us about sleep and cognitive behavioral methods of dealing with sleep. And then we have I'm trying to think of who's next. Jennifer, you're the 4th one, aren't you?
Come last, yes.
Jennifer is one of our speakers in the series and is talking about gut health.
Yay.
And then the third person in the series is Dr. Julie Clayton, and she's got both a theological degree and a clinical counseling degree, and she has been doing a lot of work in our denomination with emergency mental health preparedness. But she will be coming to talk to us about mental wellness and ministry. So
nice. Very good.
Yeah, so
I can't wait to hear that
exciting.
One. Yes.
It is. So please spread the word and invite. There's lots of room for more people.
Oh, yeah. And I think that it's encouraging to let everybody, don't be afraid to share when you hear about an event coming up. I mean, you never know who's going to see it on Facebook or that you talk to. Just say, there's this and that. And there you go. Or I'm going to this. You want to come with me? It does invite. Again, don't isolate yourselves. Invite people in.
Yeah.
That's so
Catherine has just told me that you're a great meditation teacher.
Tell her thank you.
Now, are you offering classes now?
I am teaching virtually now. I call this my Zoom room. This used to be my little sewing room. And now I had to put these things up because it's the closet. Yeah, it's not very attractive. My computer is so old that I can't put a fake background on it yet.
Mine too.
And I'm okay with that. Right?
That's okay.
This is it. Don't be afraid to be vulnerable. I'm teaching the power of awareness on Tuesday nights starting August 4 at 7:30 till 9. It's an 8-week course. We meet every single Tuesday, and I will take you through the steps of how to center it, how to ground, and what it means. And by the time you're done, you will be able to sit through a 30-minute guided meditation without drifting off or falling asleep. And even more important is you will know how to invite in the tools and techniques in everyday life. That is the power of meditation. It's not just in the sitting and how to do it. It's how it affects your life. So when, the rug gets pulled out from underneath you, you will have something to revert back to. You've got and your energy is all replenished and alive and ready to respond. It's a lot of fun. I love it. I love teaching. I never thought I'd ever teach, by the way. The skeptic in me was there too, as I said. It's like, what?
Here you are.
What? Or as we used to say, God, you want me to do what? No. But here I am. Yeah. So I invite you all to, check out the website. You can, as I say, or reach out to me and ask me. Sometimes picking up the phone is just it's a beautiful old-fashioned way. But email me because my phone is sort of in cyberspace right now. But it was lovely meeting you all. And if anybody wants to stick around just for a few minutes, sometimes somebody wants to ask me something privately, I will stick around for a little bit here.
Nice.
Out in the Zoom room.
Great.
Well, thank you very much, Regina. And I agree with you totally. Life happens and we all need resilience, whether it's emotional, physical, and a combination of all of it, because we are body, mind, and soul.
Yeah.
or heart or spirit, however you want to put it.
Yeah.
And we need that backbone. We need that information to help get through.
Yeah. We need each other. I think it's really important to remember that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just tell you one more little story. I don't know why I'm remembering. Maybe it's because Regina's in the box above you, Jennifer, and you're there, and I don't know. But this is how I work. I work intuitively. Things come to me. When I was in elementary school, I was having one of those, I don't know, I will call it a bad day. I don't know what was wrong with me that day or what was going on. I was just really cranky and not a very nice person to be around. Well, I sort of remember now, I was angry with one of the other young girls. Her mother was beautiful and her mother was a teacher. And my mother was just like a housewife, right? And was at home. And so it was one of those moments where you're like, ooh, and I was jealous. And so this young girl was walking home, and I have no idea what I was yelling or screaming about at her. I was just not being a kind person. But I dropped my books, all of my books. They all fell down. And you know what? She came over and she helped pick up my books. She picked them up with me. I named my daughter after her.
Oh, wow.
And this has come to me, Regina, because my mother told me that she named it after a kind woman. There's nobody she met someone named Regina, and she just found, and from I understand now, her energy was so kind that she wanted to pass that on. So it's just about remembering that no matter what we've done or do, there is kindness in us. That act that she did just melted all away, all that stuff. And I just remember it in my heart today. And I share that with you. We can let go of those things. So bygones.
All right. Thank you again, Regina. I'm going to sign off. And
Okay.
then I will see you in 3 weeks, I believe.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you. We'll
Okay.
see you soon.
Take care.
Wonderful.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Yes, I would like to say thank you as well. Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.